There are things we do in the dark that nobody knows about. Private rituals, secret conversations, moments we'd never admit to anyone. Like calling a phone number you know will never be answered. Just to hear a voice that's been gone for 3 years, but still lives in a voicemail greeting. "Hi, you've reached David. Can't get to the phone right now. Leave a message." 12 words, 5 seconds. And for Sarah Mitchell, those 5 seconds were the only time each day when her husband was still alive. She called that number every night. At exactly 10:47 p.m., right before bed, just like she used to when he was alive and working late, and she'd leave a message. "Good night, baby. I love you." Every single night. For 3 years, 1,005 days, 1,095 messages that nobody would ever hear, except tonight. Tonight, Sarah was sitting in the 4th row of the El Capitan Theater, and Jimmy Kimmel was about to ask her a simple question, and her answer would break everyone in that room. It was a Wednesday evening in late autumn, the kind of night where the air felt crisp and the city lights seemed brighter than usual. Jimmy Kimmel walked out onto the stage to thunderous applause. He was in his element, navy suit, warm smile, that easy confidence that made millions of people feel like they were hanging out with an old friend. "Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome," the audience roared. The monologue was solid. Jokes about technology, about relationships, about the weird things people do when they think nobody's watching. The crowd ate it up. After the monologue, Jimmy grabbed a microphone and walked down into the audience. "All right, I want to talk to some of you lovely people. Let's see. You." He pointed to a man in the 2nd row. "Sir, what's the weirdest habit you have that nobody knows about?" The man laughed nervously. I talk to my dog like he's my therapist?" The audience laughed. "That's not weird, that's normal," Jimmy said. "Dogs are great listeners. What about you?" He turned to a woman nearby. "Any secret habits?" "I eat cereal for dinner like 3 times a week," she admitted. "Living the dream." Jimmy grinned. He moved through the crowd, getting little confessions, generating laughs. Then he spotted a woman in the 4th row. She was in her early 50s, maybe. Dark hair with some silver streaks. She wore a simple black sweater, and while everyone around her was laughing and smiling, she sat quietly, politely. But there was something in her eyes, something distant. Jimmy walked over. "Hi there," he said warmly. "What's your name?" "Sarah," she said softly. "Sarah, nice to meet you." "Sarah, same question. What's something you do that nobody knows about?" Sarah hesitated. She looked down at her hands, at the wedding ring still on her finger. She stopped, took a breath. "I call my husband's phone every night." The audience went quiet. Jimmy's smile softened. "You call your husband?" Sarah nodded. "He died 3 years ago, but I still pay his phone bill. And every night at 10:47, I call his number, just to hear his voicemail." You could hear a pin drop. Jimmy crouched down closer to her. "Sarah, would you mind coming up here and talking to me?" She looked surprised. "Really? Please." Sarah stood slowly and made her way to the aisle. The audience watched in complete silence as she walked up the stage steps. Jimmy guided her to a chair he'd brought from backstage and sat down across from her. "Sarah," Jimmy said gently, "tell me about your husband." Sarah's eyes filled with tears immediately. "His name was David. We were married for 28 years. He was my best friend. What happened? Jimmy asked quietly. Heart attack, Sarah said. He was 54. We were at dinner. He just collapsed. They tried to save him, but her voice broke. He was gone before the ambulance even got there. Jimmy's own eyes were wet now. I'm so sorry. Sarah nodded, wiping her face. After he died, I couldn't bring myself to cancel his phone. I know it's stupid. It costs money every month, but I couldn't do it. Why not? Jimmy asked. Because his voicemail greeting is still there. His voice. Hi, you've reached David. Can't get to the phone right now. Leave a message. And when I hear that, she smiled through her tears. For 5 seconds, it's like he's still here. The audience was openly crying now. So every night, Sarah continued, at 10:47, that was the time I used to call him when he was working late. I dial his number, and I listen to his voice, and then I leave him a message. Good night, baby. I love you. Jimmy's voice cracked. Every night? Every single night. For 3 years. That's over 1,000 messages, Jimmy said softly. 1,095, Sarah said. I counted. Jimmy stood up and walked a few steps away, trying to compose himself. Then he turned back to Sarah. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever think about canceling it? Moving on? Sarah looked down at her hands. Every month when the bill comes, I think about it. My kids tell me I should. They say it's not healthy, that I need to let go. She looked back up at Jimmy. But I can't, because those 5 seconds when I hear his voice, that's the only time each day when the world feels normal again. When I'm not a widow, I'm just Sarah, calling my husband to say goodnight. Jimmy sat back down. Sarah, can I tell you something? She nodded. You're not holding on to the past. You're honoring a love that was real, that is real, and there's nothing unhealthy about that. Sarah's lip trembled. Love doesn't end when someone dies, Jimmy said. It just finds new forms. And for you, it's a 5-second voicemail. And that's beautiful. The audience erupted, not in applause, but in recognition. Hundreds of people standing because they had to. Jimmy looked at Sarah. I want to do something. We're going to set up a fund in David's name for heart disease research, because what happened to him shouldn't happen to anyone. Sarah covered her face with her hands. And Sarah, Jimmy said, I want you to know something. Every time you call that number, David's not just in that recording. He's in you. He's in those 28 years you had together. He's in the fact that you still say, I love you every night. He paused. That's not letting go. That's holding on to what matters. After the show, Jimmy sat with Sarah for a long time. She showed him a photo of David. They talked about his terrible jokes, his love of baseball, the way he always burned the toast. Before she left, Jimmy did something unexpected. Sarah, can I ask you something? Do you have your phone with you? She nodded, pulling it out of her purse. Would you mind if I heard his voice? Sarah's eyes widened. Then she smiled. You want to hear David? If that's okay. Sarah dialed the number, put it on speaker. It rang once, twice. Then, Hi, you've reached David. Can't get to the phone right now. Leave a message. Jimmy closed his eyes. It was just a voice, just a recording. But in those 5 seconds, he understood. When the beep came, Sarah said what she said every night. "Good night, baby. I love you." Then she hung up. Jimmy wiped his eyes. He had a good voice. "He did," Sarah said, smiling through tears. "He really did." 6 months later, Sarah sent Jimmy an email. "Jimmy, I wanted you to know something. Last month, the phone company called. They said they were discontinuing that type of account. They needed to shut down the number. I panicked. I begged them not to, but they said there was no way around it. So I did something. I recorded his voicemail, and now it's saved on my phone. And every night at 10:47, I play it. And I still leave him a message, because you were right. Love doesn't end. It just finds new forms. Thank you for not telling me to let go." Sarah P.S. The fund raised over $40,000 for heart disease research. David would be so proud. Jimmy read that email twice. Then he saved it in his folder labeled "The Good Stuff," because every now and then, he needed to be reminded. We all have rituals nobody knows about. Secret conversations, private moments, and they're not signs of weakness or inability to move on. They're signs of love, and love doesn't ask permission. It doesn't follow rules. It just persists in voicemails, in phone calls to numbers that don't ring, in messages left in the dark at 10:47 p.m. That's not pathetic. That's human. And sometimes being human means calling the dead just to hear them say hello one more time.